Hello and welcome to the H2H Sports Podcast. This is episode number 73. My name's Ismail Sohan. Thank you so much for being here. Sinner replaces Berrettini in the ATP Finals. Italy has another player in the ATP Finals. Tata Martino needs to be out. Mexico loses to the US and Canada in back-to-back World Cup qualifier games. Tata Martino out. The Warriors defeat the Nets. Steph Curry gets MVP chance in Brooklyn. OBJ to the Rams. The Rams lose 2 straight games. They look way different than that team that started 7-1. We'll touch on that. And Cam Newton is back with the Panthers. It's like a movie. It's crazy. Cam Newton is back. All of that on this episode of the H2H Sports Podcast. Let's get started. Sinner replaces Berrettini. First and foremost, I just want to say I hope Berrettini, has a quick recovery. I hope everything's fine. Very unfortunate for Berrettini. I feel super bad for him. Watching that match against Zverev, watching that great first set, it was, we knew we were in for a show. We knew we were going to probably go the full distance. We're going to go to a 3-set decider, 3rd set decider. And unfortunately for Berrettini, he couldn't finish the match. And he started just breaking down. He started crying once he knew that there was something wrong with him. And obviously, I completely understand that. I completely see why he broke down. Berrettini representing Italy in Turin in the ATP Finals. First year that is being held in Italy. And, hometown kid, the crowd is behind him, playing an amazing match against Zverev. It was just probably magical for him. Playing in the ATP Finals in Italy at home, probably his family was there, just people he must have known. Just playing for your home country in such a big tournament, I can't even imagine how amazing that must have felt. How proud he was of himself, and to see it end in the second set of said competition, it's sad. And I think he kind of knew that was it. He wasn't just going to retire for that match. He pretty much, I'm pretty sure he pretty much knew that was it for the tournament. And although he tried to make a return, he tried to play the next match, but he couldn't. And now Sinner's replacing him. Sinner already played Hurkacz, defeating him 6-2, 6-2. So thankfully for the Italians, the first replacement, the first alternate was Jannik Sinner, another fellow Italian. So although they did lose Berrettini and, they were robbed of a great match against Zverev, Sinner is the one that replaced him. He is Italian, and he does have a chance to go to the next round, which would be the semifinals. He plays Medvedev. I think he needs a little bit of help. He needs to beat Medvedev, and then he needs Hurkacz to beat Zverev. Because I believe if Zverev beats Hurkacz, then Jannik Sinner doesn't have a chance. So at the recording, as of right now, the Zverev versus Hurkacz is scheduled to play to start in approximately 2.5 hours. So by the time you see this, the results might be out, and you might know, that Sinner just needs to beat Medvedev, or that match might be over and we have Sinner in the semifinals, which would be great for for Italy, for the host nation. But overall, I just want to wish Berrettini, I hope he has a support system. I hope there's people around him to console him, to make him feel better, to tell him that he's still young, bright future. He's probably going to be at another ATP finals tournament. It's still going to be in Italy, so it sucks that it happened, but he has a bright future. But obviously, it's you're in the moment. You're 25 years old. You just want to play in Italy. You just want to represent your country. But shit happens, and it's just unfortunate. I feel bad for him. But yeah, now I think he's just gonna root for Sinner. I think Zverev is one of his good friends too, so he might root for him. But obviously, Sinner is the hometown kid too, Italian. Had another great season, young player. So I'm pretty sure Italy and anyone that's at the ATP Finals who is Italian is definitely going to root for Sinner. So we'll see how far Sinner could go. It would be great if he's able to, go into the semifinals. If he has a Cinderella run in Turin, makes it to the semis, possibly makes it to the finals. That would be crazy too. That would be such a storyline if the second Italian that replaced another Italian makes it to the knockout stages, upsets Medvedev or whoever comes out of that number one seed in the other group and makes it to the finals. That would just be incredible. But Sinner is playing some good tennis, and I kind of wanted him to make it just overall ahead of like Rude or Hurkacz, but unfortunately he didn't make it. But now he makes that as a replacement, and we'll see how far he goes. Tata Martino needs to not be the coach for Mexico anymore. He should not be the coach for Mexico. It's evident that he's not the man for the job. Losing 2-0 to the US, losing 2-1 to Canada. Enough is enough. Mexico as a whole, I think, need more talent to come in. They need a better goalkeeper. Ochoa, I love Ochoa. He came from America. America, my boyhood club. I love them. It's the first club that I truly love. It's the team that got me into sports, that showed me what it feels like to really back a team, to really love a team, to even cry when they get eliminated in the playoffs because you just want your team to win so bad. That's what America taught me, and Ochoa being from America, so, I'm always going to support Ochoa, but it looks like his time is up. It looks like, there needs to be young blood that comes in. So obviously Tata Martino can't help with that right now. He has the players that he has, but overall Mexico's playing very, very boring, bad. Just, it's like watching paint dry sometimes, watching the Mexican national team. They just pass the ball in the bag. You don't really see a lot of movement. The midfielder checks in, just gives it back to the defense. Another midfielder checks in, just gives it back to the defense. No one grabs the ball and, jumps the line, dribbles past the player and puts pressure on the defense. It's just a bunch of passes, meaningless passes. It's just going side to side, maybe a little vertical passes, but for the most part, it's just side to side, a bunch of passes that do nothing. Go for the long ball. Try to find Chucky or someone or Corona on the sidelines and hope they do something. Raul Jimenez, he's obviously not in the form that he was before his tragic head injury, but this is where a good coach comes out. This is where a good coach brings out, the best out of his players, finds a formation that yields the best results, and Tata Martino is just not doing that. The defense still looks terrible. They look at a source, a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of disorganized football, and there's some players that just need to be held more accountable. Maybe Herrera, he's had a great career. He's had some moments with Mexico, but he's not really performing either. But overall, I don't believe in Tata Martino. 3 straight losses to the U.S. in official games. They lost the Gold Cup final. They lost the Nations League. They lost the World Cup qualifier in the U.S. Like, it's not looking good for Tata Martino, but it looks like he's going to stay. I haven't heard anything that he's out. We don't have World Cup qualifiers for another 3 months, I believe. So this might pass over by that time. We get to the next World Cup qualifiers. We'll see how they come. But it's looking bad for him, man. Mexico, after those 2 losses to Canada and the U.S., are now 3rd in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifier. They're tied in points with Panama, and they're only ahead of them because of goal differential. And if you guys don't know, for the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, only the top 3 teams make it directly to the World Cup finals, and the other team, the 4th place team, goes into a playoff spot, and anything can happen at that point. Usually Mexico, the times they've gone to the playoffs, they get an easy draw like New Zealand or Australia or something like that. So not to say that they're bad teams, but they don't get like a European powerhouse. I believe that's still the format. I'll have to double check that, but there's no reason Mexico should be going to the playoffs, to the second. Like they should be one of the teams that are in the top 3 going directly. They should be leading the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, and it just doesn't seem like Tata Martino is the man for the job. I'm not seeing progression, and he's been there for a while now. So I think Tata Martino needs to go out. I can't tell you who needs to come in, but that's up to the Mexican Federation to figure out. But it just doesn't look like he's getting it done. Losing to Canada, losing to the U.S. Nothing to take away from the U.S. U.S. has definitely made some strides in these last few years in this World Cup qualifier. this World Cup cycle. Canada for sure has probably the best generation that they ever had, with Davis, with other players playing in important teams in France, in Turkey. There's just players all over the place for Canada, so I want to give Canada some props. Obviously, want to give the U.S. props, but it just looks like Mexico is like in a slum. They're kind of at a crossroads right now. They don't know what direction they're going. Like, do they still want to hold on to those old players like Herrera, Ochoa, Guardado, and all those like 30-year-old Raul Jimenez, and or do they want to bring in that new blood and really like push towards that next generation? They're kind of in this limbo where they don't know what they're doing. They don't know if they're still pushing that old, supposed to be golden generation, or if the young players are ready to come in and, you know, take the mantle and tell the old guys that, you know, they had their chance and they missed out on it. But someone needs to come in and fix this and straighten things out. Like, are we still all in on the old generation? Which I think it's past their prime. They're not going to do it. They had their chance. It's done. We need younger blood, in my opinion. But overall, Tata Martino should not continue to be the coach for Mexico. The Warriors beat the Nets 117-99. Steph Curry goes off for 37 points in just 29 minutes. Steph Curry gets MVP chance in Brooklyn, in Kevin Durant's home. Crazy, crazy stuff. The Warriors are amazing, you guys. The Warriors are 12-2, and they look like the real deal. They should be the title favorites. They still don't have Klay Thompson back. Once he comes back, we'll see how he does. He's always going to be able to shoot. We'll be able to see how his movement's doing, if he can still defend. But even if he can't defend, or he's not the same defender, that shooting should still elevate the Warriors to another level. And they're already looking like the most complete team, like the team that passes the ball the best, that shares the rock, that has the best chemistry, that has players just 1 through 10. I'm looking at Draymond. I'm looking at Wiggins having a great season. Even Kevon Looney's doing his thing. Jordan Poole, who I had as a most improved player, is doing his thing. Andre Iguodala has been a surprising key addition. I don't know how much he had left in the tank, but he's been good. Gary Payton, he's been dunking over everyone, being a good gel guy. Just everyone that gets minutes for the Warriors just seems to know the role, seems to know where they need to pass the ball, seems to know what cut they're supposed to do, where they're supposed to be at every single time. So just want to give the Warriors credit for that. That chemistry looks like it's building. They're starting to feel like the Warriors of 2-3 years ago, where they're just having fun. The energy's great. Anytime they show up to your town, you kind of want to watch them. They're kind of must-watch TV. You want to catch them on the television. You want to see who they're playing. And any matchup is kind of like the Lakers or the Cowboys, where like you could put any team against them and the matchup sounds like enticing. Like, oh, Lakers Clippers, or Laker Trailblazers, or Cowboys versus Bucks, Cowboys versus Packers, Cowboys versus Chargers, Cowboys versus like Ravens. Like any decent team that gets matched up against them is like, okay, let's watch it. We gotta watch this. And that's what the Warriors are becoming now. They're such a fun team that you just gotta watch them. And this was hyped up. This was marketed as a very key game. The Nets, who came in with I think the second or third best record in the East, and the Warriors, number 1 in the West, and they just dismantled the Brooklyn Nets. That third quarter, the Warriors just pulled away, and they never looked back. And it's just crazy that Steph Curry is getting MVP chance in Brooklyn. Steve Nash looks like he's lost. I never really believed in Nash. I never really thought he was the guy. Nothing to Steve Nash, but it just seems like it was too early. Like, he's not ready to be a head coach. And that game was so apparent. Steph Curry's gravity, how much attention he gets. He was pulling up from the logo like right away and making them. And once you saw that going, once you saw those shots going in, you knew it was going to be a long night for the Nets. And sure enough, it was a long night. And that ball movement, like I said, it's crisp, it's fun, it's great to see everyone touch the ball, cuts, Steph Curry, going for charges, putting his body on the line. The prohibited MVP favorite right now. He's kind of running away with it. And the man is risking his body, putting his body on the line just to draw a foul against like Harden, who's a big guy, bigger than him. It obviously, he tried to draw a charge against Harden and kind of got smacked on the face, and then Harden fell on him. So he's getting some bruises. He's putting his body on the line. That sends a message to the rest of the team that the Steph, 2-time MVP, unanimous MVP, going for another MVP is doing that. Like obviously I'm Toscano, I'm Gary Payton II, whoever, Kuminga. Dude, if the MVP of one of the best shooters, the best shooter of all time, the guy with the most gravity ever is doing that, dude, who do I think I am? I gotta try even harder. Like, what? So the Warriors, just want to give them props. They're amazing. It looks like they're back. Can't wait till Klay comes back. And the Nets just don't look like they're a championship team, but it might be okay. The Bucks, they just beat the Lakers today, but they haven't been that great. But the Bucks are missing some players. They just got Middleton back, so we'll see if they are able to rise up the rankings. But the Nets, the only thing that they got going for them is that it's early in the season, and the possibility that Kyrie might come back. Other than that, I don't think Steve Nash is gonna, just figure out how to be a great coach all of a sudden. I don't really believe in him. I do think the Nets kind of got him just because he wasn't really gonna bother KD or Kyrie too much. He was just kind of gonna be there just to hold that position. But now that Kyrie's not there, Harden's regressing a little bit with the new rule. It just seems like KD doesn't have that much help, and he's really like looking over to Steve Nash and just trying to all right, we don't have the players right now. Kyrie's gone. Harden's not Harden at the moment. Like, can you drop some cool plays? Can you just get us some easy buckets with some nice plays? And it just doesn't look like that's coming from Steve Nash right now. So it looks a little rough for the Nets, but it's early in the season. I still believe they have a lot of talent, and Harden will hopefully figure it out. KD's still balling. He did get stopped this game against the Warriors, but KD's KD. So as long as they have KD and Harden picks it up, they should be all right. I don't know if you guys caught that Stephen A. Smith rant. He went off on the Nets. He went off on the Nets fans, the Nets crowd. He went off on Kyrie. He kind of lamented KD for leaving the Warriors, and it's crazy now. KD is getting backlash for joining the Warriors. He's getting backlash for leaving the Warriors. He called out Kyrie, saying that he doesn't love basketball. He's betraying not only KD, not only the Nets, but the sport itself. A lot of powerful stuff that Stephen A. Smith said. And I can't say I disagree with too much of it. Obviously, Stephen A. Smith sometimes goes into a hyperbole and sometimes screams too much and, does this. But it's his persona. That's who he is. That's how he got so big. I get it. But I kind of agreed with everything he said. Talking about the sacrifices that everyone does as a professional. So I get it. I think Kyrie should be there playing. And it does suck for KD that if everything that Stephen A. Smith said was correct, that they were going to go to the Knicks. But because Kyrie stepped in and said, we're going to build this culture, they went to the Nets. If all of that is true, then that would piss me off too. Like, I would feel for KD. He wanted to make something out of nothing with the Nets. He wanted to be the gasoline that ignited that fire within the Nets organization, just turn them around, turn them into an important franchise. And he thought, once he does that, I'm going to get my chips. I'm going to make the Nets relevant. Whenever anyone thinks about the Nets 20, 30 years from now, they're going to look back at this moment when KD and Kyrie joined. That's when it all changed for the Nets. That's when they became, that's when they won chips. That's when they started becoming the franchise that they are. And it doesn't look like it's happening. It doesn't look like it's happening. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. When KD and Kyrie joined the Nets, it looked like it was inevitable that they were going to win the chip. And now it's looking like, well, the Warriors look way better. They're going to get Klay. There's other teams than these that look way better. are they gonna win a chip? Like, it's starting to look like, dude, is KD gonna get a chip? Like, if he doesn't, that's really gonna hurt his legacy. So I get where Stephen A. is coming from. So I kind of agree with him. I'll say that I agree with him. Like, I would be hot too if I'm supporting KD, if I want KD to succeed, and I know that Kyrie swayed him to the Nets, and now he's not there. And now the Brooklyn fans are not really supporting KD. They're chanting MVP for Steph. That's a lot. But what do you guys think? Can the Nets turn it around? Is KD going to win a ring with the Nets? Because it's looking tough, man. It's looking tough. OBJ is now a Ram. He got cut by the Browns. He got signed with the Rams. He got cut by the Browns. He signed with the Rams. Shocked everyone. Most people, I think, from what I was reading, thought it was going to be the Chiefs or the Packers or maybe the Raiders. But Chiefs or Packers was what I was hearing the most. And when the news broke that he was going to sign with the Rams, that was the week after they traded for Von Miller. That was just, it was ridiculous. It was like, oh man, the NFL surprises again. You don't know anything type of stuff. I was excited because I have OBJ in all 4 of my fantasy leagues. So I was like, okay, here we go. He's definitely going to have more value with the Rams than with the Browns. So I was excited, not just from the fantasy standpoint, but just to see how he does with the Rams. I did think McVay was going to unleash him, was going to find a way to get the ball in his hands. Some screens, some bubble screens, some end arounds, some go routes, some slants, just to get the ball in his hands, just to, especially early, just to get him, feeling good, just to really move past the Browns situation. And then the next day we find out that Robert Woods is out for the season. And you're like, what? Like, unfortunate timing, especially when everybody was talking about the big 3 wide receivers that the Rams had just assembled: Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and OBJ. It just looked like, okay, they're ready to compete with like the Bucs, with Mike Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown. Like, this is another team that's just building, that understands that you need to have weapons. You need to have 1 through 4, tight end, 2 wide receivers, running back. You just need to have weapons all over the place. So I understood what the Rams were doing, going all in. And a lot of people were saying Super Bowl. Now with Robert Woods being out, it puts a little dent in that because Matthew Stafford hasn't looked that well the last 2 weeks. We understand that Robert Woods is a key component to the Rams offense. He does everything. He can go deep. You get those tough yards. They do a lot of screens to him too. He's a great route runner. He's really developed into a great wide receiver with the Rams. So losing him really, really hurts. But at least I have OBJ, and we'll see how much he's able to contribute. I still have faith in OBJ. I think he still has the talent. He still has the speed. His hands needs to get back into the rhythm of catching, rhythm of getting 7-8 targets a game, really having the ball in his hands. He had some drops with the Browns, but I think he does have a chance to impact the Rams, and he does have the talent and the capability to fill in for Robert Woods. But the Rams are kind of struggling right now. They lost to the Niners. They lost to the Titans. Stafford is struggling. His wife is throwing food at fans. So it's an ugly situation. We'll see how they do. I think it's the perfect time for their bye week. They need to get Von Miller up to speed. They need to get OBJ up to speed. They need to fix that defense, get everyone on the right page. They need to fix that offensive line. It looks like teams have kind of figured out how to attack the Rams, just pressure down the middle. The Niners kind of put the blueprint for that. They're just attacking them straight down the middle. The Titans followed that same blueprint, had success. We'll see if they're able to, maybe chip it with the running back, do something to help that middle pressure. Stafford needs to take better care of the football. He was the MVP favorite after like 7 weeks, and now people are starting to remember his bad throws with the Lions. They're starting to question his leadership. They're trying to question how much does he really want to win if he endured 12 years with the Lions. So it's crazy how quickly a narrative can change in 2 weeks. It's so crazy because I remember 2-3 weeks ago, people were saying, damn, if Stafford would have left the Lions earlier, he would have a gold jacket. He would be a Hall of Famer. But he's the MVP favorite. Great trade, amazing trade by the Rams. They should have done this earlier. Like, everyone was just singing their praise, and now, like, people are saying, does Stafford even have that competitive fire in him? Like, why did he endure 12 years with the Lions? Like, Stafford is who we thought he was. They gave up 2 first-round picks for Stafford. OBJ is causing all this dilemma. Even attacking McVay, like, can he make everything work? Like, it's crazy how much the narrative changed in 2 weeks. The Rams need to turn it around. They needed that bye. They need to get the reflectors off of them. They need to, take a week to decompress and, figure stuff out. But it doesn't get easy after the bye week. They play the Packers next. So they better find some solutions in this bye week. But OBJ is now a Ram player. He's now a Ram. And I wish him the best. I hope he succeeds with the Rams. Cam Newton is back with the Panthers. He scores in the first 2 times he touches the ball against the Cardinals. This felt like a movie. It literally felt like a movie. I was in Vegas for Day in Vegas. I was eating my brunch with some homies. They had every game on the screen. And the big game on the biggest screen was the Cardinals versus the Panthers. And I look up and Cam is screaming, "I'm back!" And he's just, doing his Cam charisma thing where, his smile is bigger than the screen and everyone's just gravitating towards him. And it's just like, wow, Cam's back. And the Panther uniform just looks like it belongs on him. And he looks like Superman again. And then he throws a ball in the end zone. Nice rollout. Perfect placement, another touchdown, and you're like, wow, Cam Newton's really back. And it was just ridiculous. They put some graphics up saying they had like 1 touchdown in like the last 30-something drives, and then they had like 3 touchdowns in the first 3 drives or something crazy like that against the Cardinals. But, it's crazy. Sometimes things just pan out and you just take a step back and you realize like, wow, this is crazy. This is really happening. Especially because, his first game ever in the NFL was against the Cardinals in Arizona. And his first, game back with the Panthers is in Arizona. And he has a great game. And wow, it looks like he's going to be the starter. And the cherry on top, it looks like he's going to be the starter this weekend. And it's against Washington football team. And it's against his old coach, Ron Rivera. And, it's crazy how stuff works out. But I'm excited for the Panthers. I had them making the playoffs before the season. Not because I thought Cam Newton was going to sign with them, but because I believed, I was one of the dumb believers in Sam Darnold. And obviously, that came back to bite me because he's been terrible these last 4 or 5 weeks. And I don't think he's ever going to get his job back. I think Cam Newton is going to ball out, or at least play good enough to not relinquish the job back to Sam Darnold. So I think he'll be the starter for the rest of the season. And they're alive in the NFC. They could realistically finish in 6th or 7th and make the playoffs. So I'm rooting for Cam. It was unfortunate that he got cut by the Patriots. I don't know how that would have turned out. But I'm excited for Cam Newton. It looks like, he's going to really revitalize that Panthers offense, who's not devoid of talent. They have some weapons. They have more. McCaffrey's back. Hubbard is a good complimentary back. They have Robbie Anderson. They got some pieces there. So you put Cam Newton in there with his running ability, with his end zone presence, and you might have to watch out for the Panthers. And he might make my prediction for the Panthers making the playoffs come into reality. Not the path or not the vision that I had, but Cam Newton is back, and he's gonna. I hope, and I do think he's gonna fix his Panthers offense. But let me know what you guys think. Like, is Cam Newton, is it just a good story? Is it just like a good one or 2 week thing where you just pumped with nostalgia and you just want him to succeed? Like, or like, does he have a chance, or is he washed? Because there's a couple throws where it looks like his shoulder's not good, his movement, his throwing mechanics are not there. But I don't think he's washed. I might be wrong twice with the Panthers quarterbacks. I believed in Sam Darnold, and now I'm believing in Cam Newton. But I just wish the guy the best. It looks like he enjoys playing football like a lot, especially with the Panthers. So just wish Cam Newton the best. And episode 1 of Man in the Arena, the Tom Brady documentary, dropped on ESPN Plus, and I do suggest that everyone that's listening to this, if you made it this far, just go and watch that documentary. I know there's a lot of people out there that hate Brady, that hate the Patriots, that hate everything they stand for. They call Brady a cheater. Brady, with his greatness, with his 7 titles, with all those years with the Patriots, with all those, controversies and accusations against him. Almost every franchise, for some reason or another, doesn't like Brady. You're a Raider fan, you don't like him. You're a Colts fan, you don't like him. You're a Bronco fan, you don't like him. You're a Steeler fan, you don't like him. You're a Dolphins, Jets, Bills fan, you don't like him. If you're in the NFC, if you're a Falcon, Saint, or Panther, you probably don't like him because he just showed up to your division and, made it happen right away. That's almost half the league already. If you're a Ravens fan, you probably don't like him. There's a lot of teams. If you were ever good in the AFC in those 20 years he was there, you probably don't like Tom Brady. So, my roommate's a Raider fan, and obviously the Raiders have that tuck rule game. So when I told him to watch it, it was kind of like, I don't really like Brady, but man, I love sports documentaries, and he was down to watch it. And sure enough, even he enjoyed it. And they had, spoiler alert, don't keep watching if you haven't watched it, but they did a segment on that first year that he took over for Bledsoe, and they showed the tuck rule, and my roommate's a Raider fan, and even him as a Raider fan thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's just a really good documentary. First episode, it was greatly put. All the footage that they used, all the clips, all the audio, it was I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited for episode 2. And one of the most shocking things to me, obviously, when he took over in 2001, 2002, I was a young pup. I was born in 95. I was barely 6 years old. I wasn't really in the football scene at that point. So, I do know like most of the story about Tom Brady taking over for Bledsoe, leading them to the Super Bowl, beating the Rams, beating the greatest show on turf, preventing the repeat. I do know that stuff, but I didn't know some of the stuff like I didn't know Drew Bledsoe finished the game for the Patriots in the AFC Championship. I knew Bledsoe was, a franchise quarterback at the time. I knew he had gotten paid. I didn't know he was like the first $100 million contract. I didn't know like a lot of the little stuff. And it was just a great, insightful documentary that really enlightened me. And it just made me think like how many, like at so many junctions, at so many crossroads, this could have gone a different way. Like obviously the one that we all think about is like if Bledsoe doesn't get hurt, like this happen? Like and we also think like if the tuck rule doesn't happen, does Brady happen? Does he still become the GOAT? Those are like the two natural ones. But now that I've watched this episode 1, if Brady doesn't get injured in the AFC Championship game, does he lead them to the win? Because even he said it that he was kind of scared. He was intimidated by the Steelers. And he got hurt and he got knocked out, and Bledsoe balled out. Bledsoe, being a more veteran quarterback, being $100 million man, having the composure, came in, and obviously he's been to a Super Bowl before. He's a franchise guy. He's not like on his second year. He's been a veteran. He came in and just showed that leadership, showed that grit. And McGinnis was saying it like, we thought he won the job back. So we obviously saw Brady was good enough to win it in the Super Bowl, but he did say himself that he was intimidated against the Steelers. So that's one of the questions that came up to my mind. Like, what if he didn't get hurt? Did he have it in him to beat the Steelers? We'll never know. And if he didn't beat the Steelers, does he still become Tom Brady? Or is there like a full-blown quarterback competition going into the next year that Bledsoe might win? And then it also dawned on me like, okay, what if Bledsoe wouldn't have led them to a victory? That's another juncture. That's another crossroad where it's like that could have had a completely different, outcome. And also Belichick I already respected Belichick. I've had some of those thoughts too where I'm like, he's a cheater. Because, a lot of that stuff happened when I was a young pup. Now I'm kind of over it. It's like, whatever. Like, he's a great coach. He's the greatest coach of all time. But the fact that he benched the first $100 million franchise quarterback after they gave him that much money. That shows a lot of balls. He's holding them. So shout out to Belichick for doing that. But it kind of reminds me of the Rams, kind of like. I think I would like to think that Bledsoe was better than Goff, but Goff got paid out, got $100 million, and he got to a Super Bowl too, and he lost that Super Bowl, kind of like how Bledsoe got them to a Super Bowl and lost. So, I was thinking like, oh, that would never happen in today's NBA. I mean, today's NFL, like that would never happen. Like that's crazy. Like Belichick, I was giving Belichick props, and I still do, but I was giving him maybe a little too much. Like, oh, no one will ever do that. But yeah, like it could happen. Like we've seen Wentz lose his job to Hurts. We've seen Goff, get shipped out. We all kind of, as NFL fans, kind of saw it coming. They're like, bro, Goff is not the guy. Like, why are you paying him? But the only thing is, with Goff, even before he got paid, there was people saying like, oh my God, you shouldn't pay this man that much. You could tell that McVay's elevating him. He's not the guy. From what I'm hearing, it's everyone kind of knew that you should give Bledsoe the money. You should pay him. He is a franchise quarterback. So it's just, do want to give just Belichick all the props in the world. Like that decision, sticking with it, like leaving Bledsoe in the bench once he was ready to come back, leaving Bledsoe in the bench in the Super Bowl once he was ready to, once he led them to the victory in the AFC Championship. That's incredible. That took me by surprise. That was just like, wow, what a moment. But overall, that documentary has been amazing. Great sound bites. McGinnis, I think he really shines too in that first episode. You just see the leader that he was. I always liked McGinnis from the latter years that I got to see him even being the leader of the Browns, seeing him transition into NFL Network. He was always great on TV. And he showed that. He showed that on the documentary. He talked great. So overall, great episode. I think my roommate enjoyed it too. The only thing he didn't like was, the Raiders part. But just overall, great documentary. I'm excited for, episode 2. And it also shows the difference in the NFL is completely different nowadays. Like the stats that quarterbacks are putting up right now compared to back then is just night and day. But godly, man, Brady, he was ready. He was ready for opportunity. He took it. And I also earned a lot of respect for Bledsoe, man. That must have been gut-wrenching, just devastating. I would have been heartbroken when he confessed, saying that he cried after the Super Bowl. Like, dude, I felt bad for the man. But he was always a stand-up guy. He's a great guy to Brady, as shown with all the clips, all the mentorship, all the, just being a teacher for him and not, throwing shade at him, not helping him out, not turning his back on him, just being a great friend, great teammate, great person. So shout out to Drew Bledsoe for just being a great person, being a great leader. I think if Bledsoe doesn't, carry himself that way, doesn't show that leadership, doesn't show, that team first mentality, I don't think the Patriots win. I think he has a lot of it to do. He has a lot to do with it too. Like once you see the guy that's making the most bucks, that's dying to get on the field, play it so cool, play it like just be team first, I think that does a lot for the team. It's almost like along the same lines as earlier when I like just seeing Curry trying to go for a charge, throwing his body on the line. The sacrifice that he's doing for the team. The sacrifice that Bledsoe was doing by not acting like a diva and not going to the media and stirring up controversy, distracting the team. The sacrifice that Bledsoe did, I think that really helped unite, gel that team, just feel like a family, feel like, like we're bigger than our own egos and our own emotions, than our own, goals. Like the team comes first. So I think Bledsoe really helped instill that into that team. So I just want to give Bledsoe like so much props and credits. Like what a man. Just the fact that he was always there for Brady and he took it on the chin and then when he broke down, like I said, that was a touching moment. So my respect for Bledsoe just went through the roof after episode 1, and Brady shined a lot. Obviously, it's his documentary, but great episode 1. I'm excited for episode 2. If you haven't watched it and you listen to all this, obviously now you have all the spoilers, but I can guarantee you're still going to enjoy it. And if you did watch it, let me know what your favorite part of the episode 1 was, because I enjoyed the whole thing, but probably my favorite part was just realizing what a great man Bledsoe was. It was great to see it on screen. It was all the clips of him coaching up Brady, just being there, holding the clipboard, just being a great teammate. I think that's probably what I enjoyed the most from episode 1. But that should do it for episode 73 of the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel to be ready for more episodes of this podcast. And make sure to tune in for the ATP Finals. If I probably won't be able to upload this by then, but we do have Zverev versus Hurkacz coming up, and Medvedev versus Sinner, which is Medvedev versus Sinner. That's going to be a great one. But anyways, that's episode 73. Have a great rest of your day.